So, you want to become a better designer. How do you improve your design skills so you can gain confidence in your quilt designs? In this video, we'll take a look at a simple framework you can start using right away to improve your design skills so you can start making your best designs yet. Hi, I'm Ali, a designer and maker, and I teach quilters and designers like you how to design and write quilt patterns so you can confidently share your creativity and grow a creative business that you love. When you want to start improving as a designer, one way to go about this is to evaluate your own work. And to do this, we can use a set of guidelines to look objectively at our designs. The elements of design. These are the fundamentals of creating great design. And you might already be using them intuitively, but a clear understanding of what they do and how to use them in your work can make all the difference between a design that pops and a design that flops. And this holds true if you design quilts or surface designs or anything in between for that matter. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button so you'll know when I create some new videos, and I'll just mention that any links will be available down in the description below. So this video is part of a series on how to design a quilt. And in this video, we're going to take a look at the 6 elements of design that are the fundamentals we can use to objectively evaluate our own designs so we can be confident that we're creating our best work. If you want to create designs that pop and don't flop, then you need to understand what the elements of design are and how to use them. So let's jump in. What are the elements of design? Well, these are a group of fundamentals that most designers agree underpin all design. And they are color, line, value, texture, shape or form, and space. So let's run through each of those now. And make sure you stick around to the end where I'll share how to leverage these elements of design so that you can create your best design work. The first element we're going to look at is color. And color really helps us create the mood of your design. It's probably one of the first things that you notice when you see a piece of artwork or a quilt for the first time. And because we associate color with mood and emotions, color can evoke an immediate feeling about a piece of design or art or a quilt. It's important to consider color theory when you're working on a color palette for a design, but it's equally important not to get too hung up on the theory side of things. Don't discount your intuition when you're deciding on colors. It can be equally as powerful, especially when you want to evoke a particular feeling with your work. The second element of design is line, and line describes how 2 points are connected. It sounds so basic, right? But mathematicians still needed a way to define what a line is. So here's a fun fact. A line was first formally defined as an interval between 2 points by Euclid, a Greco-Roman mathematician in 300 BCE. So how does line manifest and how can we leverage it? Well, there are horizontal lines, vertical lines, curvy and or diagonal lines within your composition, and these can help to direct the eye around your design. Lines can come in the form of a border, an outline, the binding around your quilt, even the seam lines within piecing, and these are all lines within the overall composition. So if you're just looking at your design at this stage that you might have sketched out, you can think about how you're drawing your design. Are you using thick lines, thin lines, and what effect does the quality of these lines have on your design and composition? The third element of design is value, and value refers to the relative lightness or darkness of a color. And it can be used to create contrast and give that illusion of volume and really help to define shapes within a piece. We're used to seeing value used to create like a 3D effect, and you can also visualize value when you look at anything with a gradient. So the gradient exists because of the relative change in lightness or darkness across one hue. Let's take a look now at the fourth element, which is texture. And texture acts to evoke a really heightened sensory experience. Think about any painting you might have seen which has a rough or painterly texture to it. All of those ridges of thick paint sticking up. Not only does it help convey the subject matter of the painting, but it also helps to create a really particular feeling. You can almost imagine what it would feel like running your hands over the paint. And that extra element of sensory experience is something that you get from texture. In quilting, texture can be introduced using quilting on top of the composition or by using a variety of textiles or even heavy piecing or applique on the quilt top. Quilts are inherently tactile, so we really don't need to imagine what they feel like. We instinctively reach out to touch them. The fifth element, it's a really cool movie. The fifth element is shape or form. And shape or form can be described as organic, geometric, or even abstract. Shapes can be created using lines like outlines, through colour, thin value, or even changes in texture. If you squint your eyes when you look at your drawing or a painting or a quilt, what you'll normally see more clearly is the composition on a shape level. By squinting, you remove a lot of the detail, and this is a really great way to look at the overall composition and decide on the placement of large elements or shapes. And this is especially helpful when you're considering the sixth and final element of design, which is space. Space refers to the way you position your shapes in the design. The amount of negative space, the space between and around shapes, can make a composition appear really busy, or it can appear really minimal and calm. In quilting, minimal quilts are often described as having a lot of negative space. And this can look like a whole cloth quilt or even a very minimally pieced quilt with wide open spaces of apparently blank fabric, which in the case of quilts is often quilted or even subtly pieced. Alright, so just before I get into how to leverage these elements of design in your own work, let's just recap. We had a look at the 6 elements of design: colour, line, value, shape or form, texture, and space. And these each contribute to creating the composition of a design, a painting, a drawing, or even a quilt. So how can we leverage these elements of design? Well, we can use them to evaluate our own work. And this is a way to objectively look at what you're making without judgment or all that negative self-talk or that little inner critic who says, "That's rubbish," or "You can't draw," or "I don't like it." By looking at our work through the elements of design, we can see if we can improve or change something without getting hung up on judging ourselves or our skill levels. So next time you're working on a design, a sketch, a quilt top, a painting, whatever, just step back and consider each of these elements and how you've used them in your work, or how you can incorporate them to tweak or change what you do have. Can you see these elements in your own designs? Are all your lines thick? Maybe you use a combination of thick and thin lines. What kind of moods do you create with your colour choices? Do you use texture to create new shapes? Can you tweak the composition by looking at the spaces and not the shapes in your work? Another way to put this into action is to really start considering these elements as you look at other designs or artwork. And a great way to hone your design eye and start improving your design skills is to try and see these elements in all of the things that you're looking at. Alright, so that's all for now. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to make sure you get a notification when I release a new video. If you'd like to jump ahead and get the whole process I used to design quilts, click on the link in the description below and get your copy of the guide, Design Your Own Quilt in 5 Steps. Also, keep an eye out for more videos in this series on how to design a quilt. I'll see you soon, and don't forget that design is for every day.